Now, Platinum End's been a show that I've been pretty excited for, and I know if you've been paying attention to the anime community, there's been mixed responses to this one coming out, and if you read the title, had no knowledge about Platinum End before this, you might be surprised to learn that it's actually from the creator of Death Note, a very well-received anime, but then again, even the ending to that one's a little controversial. And basically, from what I understand, the overall execution to a pretty intriguing premise, I mean, the first episode debuts it as such, is, I guess, lacking. But I always say, a good anime adaptation, supposedly we're gonna have a full adaptation, 24 episodes back to back, probably cutting out some fluff, probably expanding where they need to. A good adaptation can take even the most mediocre of executions and turn them into something a bit better. And then again, some people who may have disliked the Platinum End manga might end up loving the anime. You never really know what's going to happen, so it's very easy to get swayed by internet opinions about what's good or what's bad. And I remember when this first started up, because I heard the Death Note mangaka was coming back for more, I read the first few chapters when they were released, and then I stopped because I was like, well, this is getting an anime someday. And two, that's not the type of story I want to read every month, every week, this or that. I want to basically binge it like I did to Death Note when I first discovered that was a thing. And it's always interesting when you have a big name like that come back for more, especially an author who's made a lot of really impressive work, some not necessarily for me, but you know what I mean? Like, just, you never can live up to that big expectations. It's like if the One Piece author, the Attack on Titan author, ever decide to do another series after concluding their big one, it never will have the same buzz, right? It's basically impossible. So I walked into this one kind of having some expectations because I knew the overall premise, but I was completely fuzzy on just like the execution. So to come into an episode where you have a pretty depressed kid, I mean, this guy's like fresh out of high school, he's willing to jump off and kill himself. Like, he literally is down the dumps. And I do recall when I was touching upon the manga, there was a lot of like pushback against how edgy he was, is what I heard. And I'm sure there's going to be a similar response in the anime community, but I have to say, in terms of like someone being depressed, I think this guy has a pretty realistic backstory on why he wanted to jump off a building. He has no friends, he has no family, the traditional anime setup. But the idea that not only do you learn in this episode that the reason his parents are dead, as well as a sibling, is because the aunt and uncle booby-trapped their car so that they could inherit the fortune. He was basically growing up Harry Potter style, where he was trapped in a closet as they got to eat their fill of delicious foods, as he didn't even have a bed, he just had a blanket if he was lucky, right? You know, he just grew up in a very shitty situation for over 10 years. Like, of course he's willing to just end it all right there. And I think the interesting idea of what should be seen as an angel coming down to quote-unquote save you and is offering you not only the wings to go anywhere you want, but the ability to make anyone fall in love with you, right? Someone who's lonely and depressed, like, that's something that either A, they're not going to believe in, or two, they're going to get greedy with. I always love the idea of these two because they're very polar opposite at the start. I mean, the whole idea of like devils and demons and things like that, they don't exist, and if they do, it's really just the consciousness of the individual people, like in the fact of Mirai in this episode willing to steal just for the hell of it, right? So the idea of just having someone who on a physical level looks very angelic and wholesome, but the shit she says is like, hey, why not just kill them, right? You know, they're guilty, you want their money, it's your money, it's well deserved, go have fun. Where basically over the course of this episode, you kind of get like a character arc of starting at the lowest point, understanding why he got there, and then by the end of the episode, just really, he's trying his best. He wants to live up to his parents' expectations of remembering what happiness is. He doesn't want to kill, he doesn't want to steal, he just wants to get by and have a normal life and find his own family and happiness. And then the bombshell gets dropped on him that he's one of the god candidates, meaning that there's multiple people out there with similar abilities, and as you know in anime, when that starts to get rolling, it's gonna be a battle royale. One person can be left standing, and most likely, that person will then become a god. And since earlier into the episode, even if you didn't know about that twist, it was revealed that other people with angels could see that you have wings in your arrows and things like that, as they reveal that there's 2 arrows minimum. One, the red arrow, which makes anyone fall in love with you, and pretty much anything you command can happen. You know damn well that's gonna backfire on him down the line. It kind of already did to his aunt in this episode when she got all thirsty for him, and then he's like, you should just die, and then she killed herself. you know he's going to accidentally put that on someone he generally likes, and it's going to cause some very bad things to happen, either yandere girlfriend or similar to what happened to the ant when he didn't actually want it deep down inside. And then you have the standard white arrow, which is more about killing and things like that. At the very end of the episode, we see this like Mega Man looking character who comments that one of the characters only had one style of arrow. So there's definitely going to be different limitations, skills, and abilities, which is going to be pretty fun. And I think the idea of a show like this every week is going to be very entertaining for me, because I love the world and the idea of what should be seen as more demonic and evil is being presented as good, and we're told that that's all there is in the world. There's humans, there's angels, and these angels, in order to find a new god, are willing to say, hey, go kill a bunch of people, and they're very loyal to their kind of master, so to speak. And I think it's going to be fun to watch a character who, you know, I think really does have an argument to be made on why he was so goddamn depressed, and now is kind of like locked in a lifestyle that he didn't read the fine print because the fine print seemingly wasn't there. I guess you can make the argument he didn't ask about the fine print, but still, it'll be interesting to see his character arc and see the roller coaster that will happen with how he'll get his hands dirty willingly and unwillingly. And I've heard that the ending and the overall execution, like I mentioned, is mediocre to a lot of people, but I mean, I also heard people saying that walking into this episode expect the lowest thing ever, and I mean, I walked out saying this was everything I love about anime, and I will judge it episode by episode, see what I like, what I dislike. But in terms of an intro hook, one, you got an author who I really enjoy their works, you have a premise that's engaging, exciting, it's battle royale kind of styled differently, but you also have, I think, a compelling hook that, unlike something with, say, like, you know, a Death Note where you're pretty much like, okay, would you write a name in it? You're pretty much accidentally just handed a gun that kind of automatically fires here, which I think is kind of interesting because, of course, he put the arrow willingly into the ant to get the answer, did you kill my family? But he didn't, you know, write down a name willingly knowing that should he put that name in a notebook, that ant will die. Rather, he's like, he was just expressing, I think, a genuine emotion anyone would have, you should die, not considering, because during that moment, how would he? He's freaking out about his life getting even worse than he could possibly imagine. And then she died. There's going to be a very steep learning curve, and I think that steep learning curve is what has me excited. And honestly, kind of reminds me of like time travel stories in a way, where like the idea of time and what can change and what happens with the smallest changes can be some of the most devastating consequences. So the idea of like, do you even want to risk using that arrow when you know damn well he's going to have to if he wants to survive? There's going to be a lot of hurdles for him to overcome, and personally I walk out saying I'm glad I waited for the anime, because in terms of a first episode, visually, the opening, absolutely fantastic. I have to say, damn catchy for sure. This is what I want to see from an anime, and I believe if there was issues with the actual story, there's anime original scenes, and you can cut things that maybe weren't that good from the manga and create something that should be a pretty good, solid 24 episode show. And like I say, I mean, once you have your favorite from an author, you're never gonna like their next work better. And if you do, it's a very rare case. So I'm just here for good anime, and this is a good anime so far. Very excited for more coming Thursdays, I guess around the 4 p.m. EST time, but I guess we'll see going forward. But let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, favorite moment, and what do you think is going to happen in episode 2 next week? Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.